Joining us now is Daily Mirror Royal Editor Russell Myers. Russell, you had a big day yesterday and the Mirror's photographers snapped some absolutely classic moments. Can you give us an overview of the day from your perspective and what was it like to report on this historic occasion?
Well, of course, good evening, Caroline. Well, I mean, a fantastic occasion, a huge privilege for myself to be there inside Westminster Abbey yesterday because, you know, when you get moments like this in your career, they're very far and few between, and we've been blessed with a gluttony of these occasions just even in the last couple of years. Of course, last year we had the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee, then the more solemn moment of her funeral. But, you know, the real pomp and ceremony on show yesterday, as they were in those moments as well. And certainly there'd been a lot of, you know, the tension had been building over the last few weeks, I think. Some about ambivalence between communities, but it's interesting to see how an awful lot of people did come to London. You know, the weather didn't dampen their spirits. They were still packing into the Mall, into central London. And I think, you know, the armed forces, the people did the country proud, certainly. And if you look through the sort of the incredible images that have come out of the King and the Queen, both at Westminster Abbey, the crowning moments, all the little intricacies that you were talking about in your first piece then. I particularly liked the anointing when the King was derobed, and the choir were absolutely spectacular. And then, of course, when we got outside, you're seeing the Gold State coach, all the people in the crowd, and then finally the fly past as well. A truly spectacular day.
It was absolutely stunning. And you mentioned it just then about people being proud. I feel like that there was the overarching sentiment, don't you think? And that was a fair assessment of the mood, that people were really proud to be British?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, when it comes out like this and there's big ceremonial occasions, they are to be celebrated. I think possibly a dampener on the occasion was the way that the police did handle some of the protests. I mean, that's become a big talking point here in the UK, that police were being particularly heavy-handed with some of the people who had a right to protest. And certainly they were arrested and put in jail last night. And I think the police will have to answer questions of that, because part of being British, part of having this national identity is giving people the freedom to protest. And the fact that that wasn't allowed yesterday because of worries about disturbances, I think that was a bit of a shame. But overall, the feeling was one of joy. It was one of celebration. As I said, the British weather didn't quite hold up for us. It was a bit of a dampener, but people still came out and celebrated. And that will be the overriding thought of the day, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. Now, look, one of the moments I really loved was when William kissed Charles on the cheek. I understand that was a break with tradition, but can you run us through that?
Well, yeah, it goes back to, you know, centuries. I mean, this service has been in form, in some sense, for 1,000 years. I mean, the Westminster Abbey service goes back to William the Conqueror. So this part what William was playing was a part of, as you saw him say in your piece about, I swear to you to be your liege man of life and limb. And it's actually a homage of the Dukes. And the reason that didn't get put into this ceremony this time was twofold, really. I mean, it's very, very long. And, of course, you have the problem of the Dukes of York and Dukes of Sussex. Of course, Prince Andrew had to step back in disgrace last year, and Prince Harry no longer part of the working set of the royals. So it made sense to me. I didn't think it needed to be in the ceremony. They're trying to update it. I think they did get that across. They wanted it to be more diverse. They wanted it to be more inclusive. And then we got to see, you know, the main man who is waiting in the wings is Prince William, his heir apparent. And certainly I think there'll be more collaboration between the King and William, because let's not forget, as a sort of enthusiastic as he is, King Charles, he is 74 and he will be relying on William and the rest of the family to try and bolster the monarchy's image in the next few years. Yeah,
very, very fair. Now, the military salute at the end of the procession on the lawns of Buckingham Palace was pretty grand in itself. Here is a clip of the military honouring the King and Queen.
3 cheers for His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip!
Russell, can you explain to us the significance of this moment and how did it come about?
Well, it's absolutely spine-tingling when you hear it and see it again, isn't it? And that shows you the significance that the armed forces play hand in hand with the monarchy. And Charles himself is the first ever monarch to be an airman. He was a pilot in his armed forces days. And he really relies on that association. Again, we saw Princess Anne being the gold stick in waiting, a hugely significant moment for her and for the ceremony as well, because in her role as Colonel of the Blues and Royals Regiment of the Household Cavalry, she was entrusted, as has been the history of that role, with the monarch's personal safety, the monarch's bodyguard, if you will. And this shows you about the history of the coronation and the procession as well. And I think a really important part to see that at the lawns of Buckingham Palace, it's not just the people that the King sees first, it's the military, and it's his association with the military that is particularly important, not just to the monarchy, but to King Charles as well.
Absolutely. And look, just quickly before we go, at the end of what would have been a long day, you had an excellent opinion piece about the future of the monarchy. What are your thoughts about the where to from here?
That's very kind. I think, you know, once we've got the business of the coronation out the way, and indeed the whole weekend of celebrations, because we're going to see the royal family dotted around the country at the coronation lunches, the street parties that are happening today, I really do think it's time for the country and King Charles to take stock of what the monarchy means in the modern world. And certainly he's got a lot in his in tray. I mean, we've had
Russell,
scandal and infighting.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. We have to go to a break. Thank you so much for joining us on the Royal Report. We'll be talking to you soon.